So, somebody in the comment section of one of my posts gave me this idea. What if Miranda Keys survived? Well, you asked, and not only am I going to answer that, but I'm going to create a story around it. So to do this, I'm going to slightly change the story of Halo 3. During the time when Miranda Keys swoops in to save Johnson, the Master Chief will have been slightly quicker this time. So instead of just missing the fight between Miranda and the Prophet of Regret, he will make it right on time, preventing Miranda's death. Also, I am really sorry if my audio sounds terrible. I am completely knackered. I spent all night writing this story, so this might not be the best, but I'll do what I can to make it sound great. We also have a special guest here with us today, First Pass. He creates incredible videos surrounding naval battles, surrounding the Halo universe, as well as many others. So sit back and relax. Maybe turn off the lights and close your eyes so you can picture this incredible story I'm about to share with you. Let's begin.
Johnson, sound off.
Miranda shouts to the injured sergeant. She cocks her shotgun after just peppering a brute in the chest with some buckshot. A pelican she had just landed into a brute was still warm and ready to be fired up for a quick exit. With a pain in his chest, Sergeant Johnson shouts back at her.
Get out of here!
He takes a sharp inhale and starts leaning forwards towards her. Miranda, with a mind already set, her objective is absolute. Not without you. Another brute around the Ark's control room begins slowly moving towards her, but before he can get a foot closer, Miranda fires her shotgun and blasts its armour to shreds. The brute stumbles back and roars in frustration, making no effort to make any sudden movements further towards her. She pumps the shotgun again and notices two brutes trying to flank her position. In a quick response to tame the two slowly advancing brutes, she pulls her sidearm out from a holster and aims it onto a brute on her right, and her shotgun now pointed at the brute on her left flank. Her arms are spread out with determination to prove to the brutes that she was not a commander to be messed around with. A blast of an assault rifle can be heard down the hallway, the gunshots ringing out, moving closer and closer. The Master Chief and the Arbiter were on their way there, and within the minute they should be regrouping with her and Johnson. The Chief and the Arbiter work fast. Ever since they've been working together, their efficiency has doubled in taking the Covenant down. The worm-like Sanshayum, known as the Prophet of Truth, snapped his long worm-like neck to the direction of the gunshots. He already knows what is on its way. Johnson grins slightly in relief.
You know, if you put them weapons down, the green mean freight train over there won't run you down.
Johnson chuckles as he regains his composure and stands up straight. He nods his head at the commander and she throws him the shotgun. With that, he points the barrel up at the Prophet of Truth. The brutes around him roar in anticipation. Truth simply looks down at the sergeant and laughs. Fool, the demon can't save you now. He then looks away from the sergeant, as if into the distance. Johnson, with a puzzled look on his face, looks in the direction of where the Prophet's long slimy neck was aimed at. Small, green, squid-like creatures began climbing onto the platform they were stood upon. Johnson's eyes widened in horror. It was the flood, and it was coming in a wave. The brutes immediately turn their attention to them and begin stamping on them, trying to kill as many as they could, protecting their so-called prophet. Miranda, eyes wide, with her pistol drawn, begins firing at the flood spores. Johnson, in a mad dash, charges towards Miranda. He won't let the Commander Keyes fall to the flood like her father. With no regard of stray fire, Johnson tackles the commander, knocking her and himself into the Pelican's passenger bay. Before Miranda can even reply to the fact that he just knocked the wind out of her, he slams the Pelican's bay doors shut with the press of an emergency button on the wall of the small ship. They both catch their breath as they hear the flood and the brutes fight it out in a close quarters clash. Then they hear the sound of an assault rifle ring out. It sounds like the chief and the arbiter have made it. Miranda stands back to her feet and dusts off her naval uniform. We should get back out there and help. Johnson puts a hand out against the commander's shoulder in disagreement.
With all due respect, ma'am, the UNSC has lost enough great leaders. Chief and the Arbiter will to take care of the situation.
She looks into the sergeant's concerned eyes and then down at her pistol in her hand. The name Keyes scratched onto it. In slight frustration, she agrees, nods her head and holsters her pistol. I'll get this bird's thrusters back on for our exfil then. The Master Chief and the Arbiter finish the remaining flood and come face to face with the remaining Prophet of Truth. With the death of the Prophet, the Gravemind attacks the legendary duo as they try to escape to the Pelican, but to no avail, and they're both knocked down. We'll find our own way out. Get out of here, Chief says over the comms as he points his rifle around aiming at the tentacles. Johnson flies the Pelican across the blue sky of the Ark. In the seat beside him, the commander begins ordering everyone she can over the comms to regroup back to the shadow of intent. The sergeant relaxes slightly, and his shoulders that were completely tensed up eases in his seat.
Where to now, Commander?
He asks, already half expecting the answer. Take us back to the Dawn. We will give what remaining troops and firepower we can to the rest that are evacuating. Johnson nods his head and maintains a course straight to the commander's frigate.
Just as predictable as her father,
he thinks to himself. As they fly, they begin to hear a thunderous sound of something massive moving through the air. Out of curiosity, the commander looks around out of the cockpit windows, and then it comes into view. A halo ring rises from the centre of the Ark, and mists of fog and clouds from the Ark's atmosphere reveal the huge installation. Johnson blinks a few times and almost rubs a hand into his eyes.
Another one?
He says in disbelief. Certainly looks that way, Miranda replies, not knowing if the sergeant's question was rhetorical or not. Chief, status? The commander asks over the comms. A calm voice replies, We're clear of the flood for now. Miranda looks forwards to see the Pelican now landing into the frigate vehicle bay. Johnson guides the heavy bird in gently. Good work. What's going on with that ring, Spark? 343 Guilty Spark, with a cheery tone, replies over the comms. This installation is a replacement for the one you reclaimers originally destroyed. After its destruction, the Ark naturally began its construction as soon as the signal was received. Johnson and the commander begin walking out of the back of the Pelican and into the now busy frigate full of Marines running around. Any idea what we could do with it? Johnson asks, not sure if his question was going to have a valid answer. 343 replies once again cheerfully. Well, of course. As the other reclaimer and I just discussed, a tactical pulse could wipe out the flood population. Of course, with Miranda cuts off the monitor and immediately starts giving out orders. Then it's agreed. Chief, find Cortana and let's light this fuse. Arbiter, once you've been extracted, I want you and what little of your forces remain to begin recovering whatever other teams of elites you have left on the field. Johnson, I want you doing the same, helping the Marines. The sergeant replies sternly.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's finish this fight. As the Master Chief recovers Cortana and regroups with the Arbiter, they eventually make their way to the control room. The remaining survivors of the Ark are now all aboard the Shadow of Intent and make their way back through the portal to Earth. Sergeant Johnson regroups with the Master Chief and the Arbiter, assisting them in the activation of the ring. Meanwhile, Commander Keyes holds the frigate nearby on the newly formed ring. As the Master Chief, Arbiter and Johnson fight their way through the flood to the control room, 343 Guilty Spark retaliates against the small team, killing Johnson in an attempt to stopping his unfinished installation from being destroyed. In order to stop Guilty Spark, the Master Chief blasts him to pieces and retrieves Cortana from Johnson's dying hands. With his last words, Johnson makes a last request to the Master Chief.
I'm getting you out of here.
No, you're not. Don't let her go. Don't ever let her go. Send me out with a bang.
With that, the Master Chief lights the ring and begins to escape to the forward unto dawn, using Johnson's Warthog to drive as fast as he can to the Commander and her frigate, along with the Arbiter on the gun. As they land into the vehicle bay, crashing into the frigate, the Commander begins the ship's engines on a course through the portal. The Arbiter makes his way into an airtight part of the ship as the frigate begins to break the Ark's atmosphere. In the process, however, a Scorpion tank blocks the door for Chief to regroup with the Arbiter. He places Cortana into the ship's systems and she assists the Commander in piloting the frigate. But as they get further into the air, Chief struggles to hold on as the gravity pulls him down. A Warthog knocks him back and he falls almost back to the Ark, but manages to punch into the metal floor of the vehicle bay and begins climbing back up towards Cortana. As the halo fires and explodes and the portal to the Ark shuts, Commander Keyes and the Arbiter manage to be in just the right parts of the ship as the frigate rips in half, sending the front half back to Earth and leaving the other half to float through space, and John is not seen again for 4 years. Miranda Keyes sits at a desk in a room with a huge window. Another older woman behind the desk is looking down at a compad. Her old eyes scan rather quickly over the text on the screen. She looks back up at the now captain, who is sat up straight in a brilliant navy uniform. Captain, you've lost one of our greatest soldiers that the UNSC could offer. The old woman slightly scowls at her. She wore a black uniform with an Oni symbol embroidered upon the chest. It's completely unacceptable to lose such an invaluable asset. The war with the Covenant may be over, but that doesn't mean there are not still wars to be won. The old woman picks up a small teacup and takes a sip. Captain Keyes, do you know why you are here? I assume you have some idea. She places the small cup back down onto the desk and looks back into Miranda's eyes, as if staring into her soul. I assume this is some form of an assignment change? The old woman chuckles, leans back in her chair and crosses her arms. The sound of seagulls can be heard as they fly past the window. Well, you're not wrong, Captain. She presses a button on her desk and speaks into the speaker that seems to be built into the onyx black table. June, could you come in, please? Her bony finger lets go of the button, and the doors behind Miranda open up. The captain doesn't turn away from the old woman, and gives the head of One her full attention. This is Spartan June, and he has a proposal for you, Captain. With that sentence, Miranda loses her focus immediately and looks to her left to see a huge, bald-headed man towering over her. Captain Keyes, after losing such an impeccable soldier, it seems that the UNSC is in need of more. I'm asking you to be that soldier. Miranda, in absolute shock, looks back at Margaret Parangoski with her mouth wide open. For a second, she's speechless. She looks back towards the hulking Spartan in a black suit. After going over your combat record, it seems to me and One that you have what it takes to be a Spartan. Margaret speaks up. We need a commander for the Spartan 4 program. You will of course be deranked, but also transitioned to an entirely different branch of the military. Miranda, still in shock, looks down to her feet for a second, and then back up to Margaret. Ma'am, I don't understand. Spartan 4? Commander? Who is even making them? I thought my mother was under arrest. June answers the question. ONI and the UNSC have decided that a new Spartan program is what humanity needs, and I am its recruiter. We have someone else in mind though if you don't want the job. Miranda snaps her answer back lightning fast. Yes, I want to be a Spartan. June and Margaret both smile at each other and look back at her. June replies, Well, Commander, let's get started. I'm so tired. Big thanks to First Pass for being a part of this video. There's a link in the description for his channel and any other social media that he has. If you want to be a part of the video or have a story suggestion, then either leave a comment or join my Discord. Also, links in the description. Right, I'm gonna go have a nap now. I'm extremely tired. I love you all. Peace.